I'm also joined by Professor Tim Spector. He's one of the world's top 100 most cited scientists and Zoe's scientific co-founder. He shares what the science says about why these habits can help us live longer. Today's lessons come from centuries of collective understanding. And in this episode, you'll learn to apply them to live a longer and healthier life. And Tim, just a couple for you. Are there foods that can increase my lifespan?
Yes.
Do I have to go to the gym if I want to live a long and healthy life?
No, thank God.
Brilliant. And then final question, Dan, before we get into it. You can have a whole sentence or two. What's the biggest myth about living a long and healthy life that you often hear?
That there's a pill or a supplement or a superfood that's going to be your panacea.
I think that's a brilliant place to start.
Real foods for longevity tend to be peasant foods. The cheap stuff everybody can afford. You know, in America, we hear all the time, you need fresh fruits and vegetables. That's the wrong way to start, especially in the inner city when there are poor people, for two reasons. One, people can't afford it, and it creates an immediate barrier. And number two, people don't know what to do with it.
And so I think, for me, it's that diversity of the foods, the fact that there's great food culture, so people will make all this stuff in their homes that may have had peasant origins, but is still carrying on. And they'll mix stuff together in rich soups and casseroles all the time. And they're having fermented foods as well. I think that's the other thing that we don't really discuss enough is that, you know, in the Mediterranean countries, lots of goat's cheese and yogurts and other dairy ferments. And in Japan, of course, you've got all the misos and the fermented soy products that are eaten regularly. So you've got this diversity and the fermented foods and this food culture that is all about, you know, passing on what your grandmother taught you to the next generation.
And in one of the blue zones, Okinawa, it produced the longest lived, healthiest people in the history of the world. And now they're the least healthy prefecture in all of Japan, largely because of the fast food restaurants.
And this
thanks
is
to the
within
American
the period, basically, that
since I started studying, I mean, 20 years.
That's
They've gone from
incredibly
the longest lived
sad.
people on the planet to the least healthy people in Japan, largely because of the American food culture. When I was a kid, 50% of American kids walked to school. We're down to 10%.
50% down to 10%.
Yeah, in the United States. So we've engineered that physical activity out of our lives. And for most people, simply walking 45 minutes a day is about 90% the value of training for a marathon. And is exercise a good idea? Yes. But does it work on the population level? No. I mean, if I were investing, if I were a government investing in an intervention, I would not invest in exercise.